Welcome to the Nano podcast. I'm your host, Will Chernlin, and I'm excited to have you join me on this journey through the world of nano companies. For the past decade, I've talked to thousands of business owners across various industries. It's been an enlightening experience revealing the vast tapestries of entrepreneurship and innovation that thrives beneath the surface of mainstream media coverage. Each week, I will interview different leaders of nano-cap publicly traded companies to learn about their history, what they do now, and their future. As a reminder, none of this information is financial advice, and it is all for entertainment purposes only. Let's start this week's episode. Hi, everyone. This week we have Thomas Gaffney, COO of OFA Group, stock ticker OFAL. OFA Group leverages its extensive expertise in architectural design to maximize the potential of every property, ensuring that the property's unique attributes are highlighted and enhanced through thoughtful innovations. Thomas, thanks for coming on the podcast.
Hey, Will, thanks for having me. I appreciate it. How's it going?
Doing pretty good. So I usually start with people's LinkedIn and kind of their background. And so as we get into OFA Group and it's kind of Hong Kong and more Asian ties, I would love to hear a little bit more about your background as a law school intern working with like a Chinese company over in China. And kind of what you learned in that experience, if that was an eye-opening experience to, wow, the world's a lot bigger than I thought, coming out of Penn State or whatever. And just tell me a little bit more about that experience.
Man, that's like a lifetime ago. But so I don't know. Law school is a very independent type endeavor. You spend a lot of time reading, a lot of time writing, just basically have your nose in the book. It's hyper competitive, so like people want to help each other, but at the same time, you're graded on a curve. So there is a sense of like kind of keeping the best information yourself, and so it's just very individualistic. And you spend a lot of time in books. And so me, I'm very adventurous, and I like to get out. So I kind of devised a plan with one of my professors, who he was a finance professor, and he actually. His name's Andrew Verstein, very cool guy. But he lived and taught in Beijing, China for about 4 years, met his wife there. And so I wanted to get out of the classroom. So I was talking with him and I was like, hey, we could send some kind of exchange program, some kind of thing. And so it took about a year, but we kind of devised this plan where we would have an exchange of, so I did a semester at the University of International Business and Economics and Law of Beijing, and then I got a job at what's called King & Wood Mallesons. It's one of the largest law firms in the Eastern Hemisphere. We were doing high stakes M&A over there. It was really cool. I worked on the McDonald's, the $4.5 billion McDonald's spinoff, which was really fun. But in terms of eye-opening experience. Yes, very different from the United States, but it was cool over there. China is an absolutely beautiful country. The people are amazing. The food's amazing. I hiked the like non-touristy part of the Great Wall, where because most people go to the Great Wall of China, the government has it all fixed up. It's all really nice, refurbished and all that stuff. And so, but it's huge, it's massive. And so we got like a local tour guide from one of our buddies, our local Chinese buddies at the school. And they took us back into one of the provinces and we hiked like the actual non-refurbished part of the wall where there was the watchtowers, it's all falling down. It's like kind of the wilderness is growing over it. It was absolutely incredible experience. One of the most fun times I've ever had in my life.
No, that sounds incredible. And it's usually guests on the podcast have more, if they have anything post-grad, it's usually an MBA, not a law degree as much.
Sure.
And it's interesting the difference between where their MBA is partially just like a networking degree.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree with that.
And it's a way for them to learn how to work in teams.
Sure.
And like they have a lot of team projects and stuff, and how diametrically opposed that is to law school.
Yeah.
And so then that kind of brings me back to as most kids do who study abroad for a semester. As you said, you already wanted to get out to China or just experiencing something different because you're kind of sick of the rigmarole. When you
Sure.
came back, were you like the weirdest kid in all your classes because you wanted to talk about business in China and all that stuff? And then on top of that, just because I know law school can be injury law, it can
Yeah.
be, immigration law, it can be all these different things. You don't have like a economics or business undergrad.
Mhm.
What kind of drew you to kind of combine it into two? You coming back to business school made you different from the point of view of that you knew you wanted to do business finance law from the beginning. And does that segment kind of law school students, and then you too coming back from China, having all this actual real world experience, did that segregate you? And then did that kind of put you on a specific path?
Yeah. I'll answer that kind of in two parts. First, uh, about like the law school thing. So I was supposed to go in the military, but long story short, I broke my jaw in three places, tore the ligaments in my left shoulder uh, in 2012, and that was when the Obama administration was winding down the wars in Iraq and Afghanistan, and so I was medically disqualified in the RTC program that I was at Penn State, and so I was always kind of very business mind oriented, always kind of group thinking oriented. I always had a job, was always trying to make money, was always trying to do a side hustle, something. Uh, and so when I went to law school, it was crazy. I got to law school and I knew within the first 3 weeks, I was like, oh, this is different. You know what I mean? Because it's like, uh, it's it it's like you said. It goes from like business, working as teams, because I always worked in restaurants, on sales teams and stuff, and that's all very team oriented. So it kind of shifted. Um, and so, but I just knew I wanted to get out. So yes, I was kind of like the odd man out in law school. I was always talking about business. I was very big when I was in law school. I was very big into blockchain technology, and this is in 2016 before people even know what Bitcoin, Ethereum was. And I was talking about all these cool things that I could possibly do within the business world. And, uh, and then going to China, being gone for 6 months, because in law school you have like this like kind of group setting where you have like, so there's four sections, right, in my school. I was in section three, and it's made of 32 students, and so you stay with those 32 students for the whole first year, and then you kind of branch out a little bit, but you kind of stay in the same thing. So me being gone for an entire semester and summers from of my second year of law school, when I came back, I was kind of like the oddball. They're like, "What are you doing? You know what I mean? This is crazy, you know." And so, but I don't know. I'm a dreamer, man. I when I got to law school and I realized, I was like, man, law is a lot of paperwork and reading documents. I want to figure out a way to get into the business world, because when I was working in Beijing and working on the McDonald's deal. Uh, I was sitting there and I was like, man, I want to be on the other side of the table, uh, because they're doing this really cool M&A deal. Um, and when I say I want to be on the other side of the table, is every deal there's a legal side and there's a business side, and I wanted to figure out how to be on the business side of the table. And so everything I've done in my career since then has been geared trying to utilize my legal skills, because I was bound determined to become a startup financing attorney. And that's what I did, just because that was the goal, right? And so I kept moving towards it. But I always wanted to be on that opposite of the table. And so I was definitely kind of an oddball when it comes to lawyers, because most attorneys are like, oh, I want to be in court and arguing with people. And I was like, I've got three siblings and a ton of cousins. I've argued my whole life. I'm done with that. You know, I want to make deals and I want to build things up and, be part of a team.
No, it's all kind of lining up with the idea too of you being into blockchain, being into smart contracts as a lawyer.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure 2016ish, like Neo was really big in China as like the big
Yeah.
Ethereum killer and
Yep.
everything. So
Yeah.
all that lines up that would have been a very, very exciting time. And that if you got into the wrong group of 32 other kids, you could just stick out like a sore thumb that you're talking about stuff that's whatever, not going to be relevant for 5 more years, but someday kind of thing. And they're trying to learn stuff that was relevant 100 years ago as precedents.
Yeah. It's relevant now.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. So, So as you joined a couple kind of law firms as an associate and such,
Sure.
then you hear of OFA Group. What was your first exposure to them? How did you get connected? What got you excited? How did that all work out?
Well, funny story. I was actually at a poker game, and I happened to meet CEO Larry. Larry has a good connection with one of our people, Ricky, and who's starting the poker party, and we just kind of started talking business, because like they knew that I had this huge crypto background, this huge Web3 background, that they were just so fascinated, and they were like, "Well, what do you do now?" And I was like, "Well, basically, what I do is I help set up venture capital deals and help the companies who I'm advising get finance, structure their business, structure their corporate organization, and then I also advise them through the regulatory path of like this tech world. I have some AI clients, I got some crypto clients, and they were like, "Wow, that's fascinating." Well, here's the thing. So Larry's like, I'm an architect, and he's like, I've got this idea. I want to start building these AI tools, and we want to take the company public. And I said, okay, that all sounds awesome. And this is back in like January of 2024. And we kind of just hit it off. Larry's a super funny guy. He's really cool to work with. And me loving all things tech, I was like, okay, well,
always wanted to get on the business side of things.
Exactly.
Get away from the law.
I was like, perfect opportunity because, like, I love one of my strongest skill sets, I believe, is team building. I love people and I love working with people. And one of my favorite things is trying to get the best out of the people I work with and around. And I told that to Larry. He's like, Thomas, I kind of get that. You're really personable. This is kind of what you want to do. And he's like, yeah. He's like, all right, well, let's bring you on as the chief operating officer. And let's start building this thing. And so he was telling me a lot about the architectural side of the business, which is largely based in Hong Kong. And then we started discussing kind of the plans for the U.S. expansion, right? Because Larry's a United States citizen. He's educated at the University of Southern California in architectural design. He's very Americanized, right? And so he wanted to start expanding his business because he started the architecture firm with Keith, who is our CTO, back in 2015. And Keith is in the process of actually kind of moving over to the States as well, so we can really put the pedal to the metal U.S.-based expansion through these AI tech platforms.
So let's take a step back. Where was Larry when he with the business when he kind of proposed the idea to you? Had he filed this new like LLC for OFA Group? Was his current architectural firm like spun into OFA Group?
Sure.
How mature was the business when he was like, "Hey, do you want to join on?" Like, were you guys public yet, or no? Or
we were not public.
Okay.
So that was one of the biggest things is that I was brought on, one, because of my legal skills, two, team building, organizational type structure, and so when he told me, he's like, "Hey, we kind of want to potentially go IPO," I was like, well, that's a massive undertaking and a huge process. And he's like, yeah, we'd love to have someone internally to help that whole that setup, right? And so OFA stands for Office for Fine Architecture, all right? And so that is the original legacy business that's based in Hong Kong. And so when they brought me on, we were evaluating trying to take the Hong Kong company IPO, right? But after discussions with local counsel in Hong Kong and counsel based in the United States, the regulatory process for listing public shares, regardless if it's based in the United States or if it's based in Hong Kong, for a Hong Kong entity is incredibly difficult, and it's incredibly burdensome, and it costs hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars just to get the regulatory approvals from the Hong Kong authorities. And so what we did is we're like, okay, well, we want to establish the U.S.-based subsidiaries and affiliate companies. So we were talking to counsel, and they had us set up for strategic purposes OFA Group, which is based in the Cayman Islands. That's going to act as the holding company for our U.S.-based expansion. So we're going to have basically two different arms now with the IPO proceeds, which is one, we've got the Hong Kong-based entity, which is the legacy business, where they've designed all these beautiful buildings, and they've done a lot of great work in Hong Kong, in the greater East Asia area. And then we also have the U.S.-based entity, which we're using a lot of the proceeds for, which we're going to be expanding upon. One of our proprietary tools is called PlanAid. It's a governance, it's a compliance AI code, like, for lack of a better word, checker. Basically what it does is an architect takes his blueprints, plugs it into the AI machine. The machine reads it, and it goes through all of the local jurisdiction building codes, right? And it'll read the plans and say whether or not it's in compliance, right? Because one of the biggest issues and most time-consuming parts of building a building in the United States, or even really anywhere, is getting the permits, it's getting the regulatory approval, it's the back and forth between the local jurisdictions, working with the construction guys and all that. And so what this tool does is essentially allows, you can upload a schematic with a building, say it's a 38-story building, and it'll read every single floor, and it'll say, hey, the distance from this office space to the nearest exit is not within code compliance, so you need to adjust it, right? So if you have an architect trying to work on it, once he puts it in there, she puts it in there, it'll spit it out with all of the code sections from the entire local jurisdiction for the state, and it will tell you exactly which areas are wrong, say which exit door isn't large enough, exit area isn't large enough, place between elevators, those kinds of things, right? And, so that takes a huge process going back and forth between the building code office, right, who actually approves these plans, and the actual architect themselves. And so being able to utilize this tool, it speeds it up, because currently it's just done by hand, and they're measuring out how far it is and reading the lines, right? And so something that would take someone, say you get a plan first, you submit it to the government, and the government, they are always backed up, understaffed. And then you've got someone seeing this 38-story building for the first time, plan for the first time, so they have to go through it all by hand. So instead, what we want to do is have them utilize our tools where they can just upload it, and then obviously they got to double check the machine just to make sure it's fine, but go through and it's like, oh, hey, here's all the code sections, literally all of them, and here's the sections on the blueprint where it's incorrect or where it's not code compliant, or hey, these sections are code compliant because of XYZ, and it breaks it down. It's really cool. So we're really excited about it. So that's one of the biggest things that we're working on now, moving forward with the business.
So would you describe OFA Group more as a software company right now, or would you say it's about 50-50 with the legacy business and the new software, AI software coming out?
Sure.
Or how would you weight those things?
Sure. Right now, so we haven't launched the tools yet. They're very close to being done. We're expecting Q4, maybe Q1, for full-on release. But right now, it's still the traditional legacy business. But moving forward, a lot of it is going to be the AI software driven.
And do you plan on selling this more to municipalities for them to use it? Do you think more you're going to sell it to architectural firms? Will you sell it to both of them? What's kind of the go-to-market strategy?
Go-to-market strategy, usually sell to both of them, but the key is to get the municipalities to use it, right? Because that's where the holdup is, right? So time is money, right? And so if you go in and you submit all these plans, and if the municipalities take forever, take a long time, that delays construction, that delays potential rents coming in, you know what I mean? And so what we're trying to do is speed up this process so that approval can be done faster, reviews can be done faster, architects can modify it. So like we're building in hot tools where you can actually modify the plans within the system. So it's like, hey, because basically most architects use AutoCAD, right? And so if you've got a blueprint and it's pulled up, and so one thing we're having it done is that you can actually modify the plan within the document, or highlight the plan within the document to show, like, pull out each individual component. And so the go-to-market strategy is essentially onboard the architects to start getting them to use it, and then also the municipalities, because that's what will really speed up the process. But the good thing is this is just one of the three really AI software projects that we're kind of working on right now. We've got one that I can't really talk about a whole lot, but it's really exciting. We'll have some stuff coming out on that very soon. But it's basically a tool that helps create blueprints, not just for architects. You can submit an architect and then a blueprint, and then it spits out a lot of the other construction aspects of the design. And so that's going to be a lot of fun, and we can talk about that later at a later time.
Yeah, so as for the software you were mentioning earlier, since it deals with compliance and a lot of the compliance is rule-based, I can see how it's very straightforward application to AI and kind of the thumbs up or thumbs down. In this line of work, is there any wiggle room? Is there something where you say, hey, we flag that you only have 3 staircases, you only have this much parking, they want you to have this much parking, but we think you might be able to fight this? Is there any wiggle room in that kind of stuff, or is it 100% pass or fail when it comes to all these different regulations?
It depends on the regulation, and if you can work. So like parking, right? If you, like, say if you have a restaurant, right? So like restaurants are zoned for certain, there has to be a certain amount of parking for a restaurant. So like if you want to build a building where a Starbucks used to be, right? Say a Starbucks goes out of business and then you want to come in. If there's not enough parking spaces around zoned for that building, you're not likely going to be able to get the permit to do a restaurant. There is some wiggle room just because, I mean, local jurisdictions, you can work with them on what is a parking space, you know, what is the area that encompasses it. But for the most part, when it comes to safety, no, there's no wiggle room. But when it comes to like convenience and those types of things, yeah, you can get permitted out and you get approval. Like say you're building a pool, right? That's supposed to be XYZ depth within a certain place, but the soil that you had, like zone, like, or the area that you had zoned for, you can get special permits and approval and stuff like that. You know, so it just depends.
Yeah, so you kind of mentioned that you have some other projects you're working
Sure.
on. What do you see then the next like 5 years look like? Do you see
Sure.
you all launching 3 more products and then hiring a big sales team? Do you need to
Sure.
hire a big development team just to push all these things across the finish line and make sure that they're enterprise ready? And again, kind of how do you weigh out the sales and distribution versus the actual developing the technology, and where do you spend your time day to day as a COO?
Sure. So a lot of my time is spent, almost all my time was spent getting this IPO across the door and maintaining day-to-day operations. So in terms of the execution, like I said, we're bringing a lot of the legacy team from Hong Kong over to the United States. And so where we're going to be targeting the first tool is in Los Angeles. So we have a headquarters that we have in Los Angeles, and we are slowly working on getting a campus there, which is going to be really cool. So we're really excited about that. But yeah, so the plan is to essentially get the tools launched up, continue to develop additional tools. We're always on the go. We're very proactive people when it comes to the business and streamlining the process for architectural services. Because Larry, he had this vision, understands AI. He's like, I know where the world's heading. Let's capitalize on this. And so once we start getting going, the plan is to have the U.S.-based entities rock and rolling, onboarding sales teams, potentially doing some M&A to grow the sales force. And then also we just announced that we're looking into certain partnerships with senior care facility listing. We just announced that on Tuesday, I believe. And that's going to be part of the big expansion to the United States as well. So plan is to grow fast, push hard, and really streamline this process.
Well, as we wrap up here, you kind of just answered it there, but what gets you out of bed and gets you excited about OFA Group every morning? What especially about this is where you want to spend your time?
I love that because honestly, whenever I interview people for a team, that is the first question I ask. I say, "Hey, Will, how you doing today?" "Yeah, good. Well, can you tell me one thing? Like, just tell me a little bit about yourself. What gets you out of bed every morning? What actually makes you tick? What makes you want to work here?" Right. And so for me, working here is we're on the cutting edge, right? Like I wake up and we're actually pushing the envelope, right? First of all, going public and getting listed publicly is not an easy task. And so the fact that Larry wanted to do this and go after it, that made me so excited because I was like, if you get a publicly traded company, you've jumped through all the regulatory hoops, you've pushed through all the different buttons, talked to the SEC, talked to the NASDAQ, got your people onboarded, gone through your audits, gone through the proper structuring. And so that in and of itself is a beast. And then you've got a company that wants to expand fast and is very driven and is in the AI space, right? And the tech space. And so that's kind of what pushes me is I get to wake up, work on an awesome team with an awesome team, people who are dedicated, people who have vision, and we're moving forward in a very specific way. And that's something that I really enjoy. That's kind of what makes me tick. Is being on the forefront of these things and kind of being adaptable and on making it work. And plus, we've got a lot of cool things in the pipeline, a lot of things that I can't talk about just yet, which I'm really excited for. That's kind of what gets me out of bed in the morning and work with this. It's just great people and people trying to accomplish a mission that they set out to do.
Well, thank you so much for coming on the podcast, Thomas. If people want to learn a little bit more about what OFA Group is up to and what you guys are doing, where should I send them?
Send them to the website, just ofacorp.com. We got our LinkedIn. We just hired a new IR firm, and they are awesome. They're pushing me a little bit. So, Cora, just a little shout out to them real quick. But we are going to be pushing forward on LinkedIn and Instagram over the next couple of weeks to months, and we're going to be beefing up our social media and our online digital presence. That's one of the things that we're really excited to do. And so, yeah, check us out on X, which is OFA_Corp. LinkedIn, we're on there, and then Instagram as well. And stay tuned because we're going to be we've got quite the PR plan moving forward. So we're going to be around, so you can check us out.
Yeah, awesome. Yeah, definitely shout out Katie at Core IR.
There you go.
And for everyone still listening, please remember to subscribe and review. Thanks.
Thanks, everyone.
This podcast is for informational purposes only and does not provide financial, legal, or any other advice. The information is not investment advice or any offer to buy or sell any securities or to make any investment. The views expressed by the guests are their own. and any reference to third-party products, services, or information does not constitute an endorsement, therefore, by NanoCap Podcast or its affiliates. The NanoCap Podcast Express disclaims all liability for any individual's use of the information presented